Hello, hello, and welcome to the first episode ever of Dinked, a CSGO podcast with me, Puffin, and my lovely guest and co-host Kremer.
Hello.
Hello, and we are basically the premise of the show is that we are gonna talk about news for like what's happened the last week or so, and it's gonna be around an hour, and yeah, just go deep diving into some topics.
Yeah,
So,
without a doubt. Tell you what, first things first, I am going to give it to you, Perfect. You got any topics you want to talk about? Anything that's caught your eye in the last few weeks or so in that little CS scene, or anything that's really come to your attention?
for me, yeah, definitely. I think the first thing we can talk about is the very promising Vitality six-man roster
Yeah, yeah.
and how they actually use Nivera in this
Mm.
sense.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Navira, he played on Inferno and Dust 2 in a best of 5 series against Navi. And what I think is interesting is HLTV haven't really adapted to having six-man lineups. Like they show on the full-on match page the players who played in the match, but that's for stand-ins really. That doesn't really make up for six-man rosters. I know when Astralis did it, they kind of had players playing in different series, with the premise being that you would have these players join so that other players can take a break while still being under contract, rather than having well players actually play as a dynamic six-man. I think Vitality, they are the first to really do it well. And with Navera, now he did well on both maps, didn't he? I think he top fragged both maps, as well as like really pulling his weight. And you saw on the cameras as well. He was in the room with everyone else. Like it's like having two coaches when he's not playing. And for me, at what point does HOTV just show him as a six-man lineup?
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that I find really interesting is like the comparison of Vitality and Astralis, since
Mm,
Astralis talked about the six-man, seven-man rosters, and basically now Bubsky is being used more of a like a media guy, like
mm,
oh my God, we can go and play with your local Astralis guys, and then they send Bubsky to some
yeah.
event, and then he just sits as a like glorified analyst, whereas
Mm,
Vitality actually use Nivera and puts them into games where they don't use Bubsky at all in
mm.
Astralis.
What I think is quite interesting as well is having Navira. It means that your practice schedule for a lot of the players isn't actually as strenuous. So in a pro team, you're practicing 5 days a week, 5 hours a day. That can be without a holiday. That can get pretty bad, especially when you've got multiple tournaments coming up. I know that over December, a lot of teams are going to be playing simply because not so much tier one, but tier two, tier three. You have a lot of tournaments kick off in January, February, simply because they want to be the first big tournament at the start of the year. So December ends up becoming a whole month rather than being a holiday for a lot of kind of not quite tier one teams. It becomes a chance for them to practice and try and get ahead. They're going to be playing a lot,
Yeah,
and if you have a six-man roster, you have that chance to. You actually have days off when you have someone else to play, and so you're still improving as a team. But you get a bit of a break. Instead, you get that extra day, extra 2 days off to just relax and like stay focused.
yeah, exactly, and it can actually help on burnout as well with this
Mm,
premise in
without a
mind,
doubt.
and that's actually quite interesting. Also, a fun fact, like Nivera, he's Scream's younger brother.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the genetics. You
Yeah,
can't ruin it with that. Like,
not at all. And also, what's like very interesting, especially for like this map with Navi and Vitality, I honestly believe like Nivera was a key piece in Vitality doing the reverse sweep, even though Simple went completely god mode, like plus 48, 96 ADR, 1.47
yeah,
rating. And you see here like Nivera being used on Dust 2 and Inferno, and him like
mm,
topping the boards both in frags, but also in some cases ADR and
mm.
in impact rating and cast rating as well. Like he is like just coming in and becoming that new breath of fresh air, which like a team can really use in a long best of five, like the one we're
mm.
talking about here.
Something to highlight as well with Simple, and for my opinion, this is why Navi will never be a true number one team. Is you see this from real world applications as well, not just in CS, which is the longer you have to rely on a human factor, the more likely it is to go wrong. So with Astralis, they did really well because a nade is always going to do X amount of damage if it lands somewhere. Whereas relying on Simple, the second simple one day just isn't feeling it, then you're screwed. Like you've lost. Like, because not so much the team's bad, but all your strats revolve around giving simple space to pop off, and if he doesn't pop off, then what do you do?
Yeah, exactly. You don't have like the infrastructure of different people
Mm,
to carry, you know. You just let Simple do whatever he wants and everyone plays around that. So
yeah.
even like when you have Electronic as the second man, you don't have space for anyone else. Like you have these
Mm,
three guys in Boomich, Flamey, and Perfecto who's basically just utility and support to facilitate Electronic and Simple, and mainly
mm,
Simple as well. And
yeah.
like that's what Astralis does really well with the methodology and how they set up the team, and the same with Vitality as well.
Mm. What I think is insane is Vitality. They've kind of done the same approach, but not fully. They've got the one-man hit army, that being Zywoo, but rather than their strats solely being get Zywoo in there, they have the they have more team-based strats where they work as like 2-3 man units, and they just spread out and they work together rather than having this like 2 man unit and then 3 men just spread out in a default. It's a lot more. I don't want to say kind of aim heavy, but it's if you end up committing somewhere together, you're more likely to be able to trade if Zywoo, for some whatever reason, doesn't kill everyone. And yeah, we saw in that pistol round, even leaving Zywoo last, he's still gonna pop off. And
Yeah,
you know, that pistol round 1v4 was just bloody incredible. He just tore through his opponents. And granted, you can't expect that to happen every single time. But that's a scenario where your entire team melts, and how often will that happen? Especially when you have players there to trade.
exactly. I mean, it's honestly crazy how this like he can keep up doing this. And you know, this
Mm,
was essentially a match between the two potential number ones
yeah.
for this year. And in my book, like Simple just completely outshined Saiwu on almost
Mm,
every single parameter,
yep.
but Saiwu had the team with him. And you know,
Exactly.
this is where we talk about where does the team over the individual count on the top 20 list, because there's a
Mm,
lot of different methodologies and factors and variables you look at when you vote for it and make the decision.
mm. Without a doubt. And I tell you what I think is also quite interesting about top 20 is if your team is included, like if the teamwork around it is included, what makes the player top 20. At what point do IGLs start getting put in there? Because the IGL itself is what weaponizes players. Because yeah, we see a lot of teams where they're just aim stars, they can run around and they can click on anyone's head faster than anyone else. But if they don't have the structure, then they're just gonna melt.
But the thing is, like, the structure wouldn't work if you don't have the guys clicking on their heads. So what I would argue is definitely that the top 20 should
Mm,
be for skilled individuals, and then the team rating can be like the IGLs. Like, this is their lists for like the top 20 teams in
mm,
the world, and then for the top 20 players, it's for the individuals, and to show
mm,
how much better and how great, and just to basically like
mm,
what do you call it? Like celebrate the individuals and the individual skill from the best players.
mm. That. On the topic of best players, we've had another result this week, that being Chaos going 3-1 up in the IEM Grand Finals for Beijing Haidan. This is only North America, but they 3-1 triumph, and I tell you what, 3-1 is a really big stomp. I think in a best of three series, it should always go 3-2, especially when you're against a team that you can't be expected to have a four map pool. So it should always go 3-2. The fact Chaos took it that early is just incredible.
Also, what's incredible is you have Liquid and EG as the two big dogs, and none of them end up in the channel in the final.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, what I think is interesting with Chaos is there's no one there that kind of screams like next Zywoo, next Simple. They're just really good as a team, in
Yeah,
my opinion.
yeah, and it's so
Like,
weird. Like, I
mm,
don't. If you like take a look at the stats of the tournament, you know you have Tarek, number one rating. You have Nav,
yep,
number two, Grim, Elish, Ethan, Breezy. You know,
mm,
there's
yep,
none of Chaos or
mm,
Triumph. Even for
mm,
like total rating for over the entire event, Triumph is like number six and Chaos is number three for total.
yeah,
Like, no,
mm,
it just shows like it was kind of a miracle run, and I do not think it would happen again. And it's also like so disappointing from EG and Liquid.
mm. Yeah, I think rather something that happens a lot in CS, especially in I can't really say for the Danish, but in the UK scene this happens a lot, which is teams they focus on if say a result like that happens and a team like Liquid or EG they fail, everyone goes, "Damn, Liquid and EG they did shit." Rather than you look back at Chaos of Triumph, no one ever goes, "Damn, Chaos of Triumph they played really well," and it was always on the team that did badly rather than the team that did well. And so, for the most part, I am going to say Chaos really well played because beating EG, if they beat EG or Liquid actually in the run,
Chaos,
regardless of who they,
Chaos, they beat DG.
yeah, so beating EG, that's impressive as it is. That that could be considered fluke. The fact they then 3-1 the finals, that shows skill, in my opinion, because you get two consistent wins against two strong teams, one of which in a best of five. You can't argue with that.
I don't know. I mean, when you have like the two upsets with both Triumph and Chaos going through, I mean, the grand final just loses like the factor and the prestige somehow because you don't like beat both of the good teams to show like that you're the best
Yeah.
one in this tournament. You actually like if you look at Chaos, if they played against Liquid in the final, I do not think they would win. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just Triumph meeting up on the day and like online CS being online CS.
I tell you what, do you think that a tournament is made or broken by the teams that actually get to the finals, rather than the quality of the tournament itself? For instance, we saw 9 to 5. For instance, they had one of their cups where MIBR entered,
Yeah.
and it was MIBR Wizard Krakow opening game. That got about 122k viewers. First game of 9 to 5. Now, having worked on 9 to 5, the average viewers per game it's about 8k. They kind of peaks at about 20, so 120 viewers, 120k viewers for first game with Wizard Krakow MIBR. Wizard Krakow wins. Everyone goes ballistic. Oh my god, MIBR they come to Europe and they get stomped. Twitter storm everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Rest of the tournament, same average viewers. So if MIBR had got to the finals, the tournament would still run the same. Still the same prize pool, still the same quality of teams as CS. But do you think that it's teams that decide the tournament rather than the actual tournament itself?
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, you can have the best bracket in the world, and you can have the best format, and it wouldn't even matter because I would argue that, for example, the Flashpoint like tournament
Mm,
structure is better than the ESL one, but Flashpoint do not have the teams, but they have the creative people
mm,
and the content behind it that makes it really interesting, even though
mm,
it's not the top teams there. Whereas ESL and the ESL Pro League has the better teams, but not as good structure and not as
mm,
good content around it. So
mm,
and you see the on the viewers is like people tune in for the teams and not for the events.
mm,
Also, a perfect example with your MIBR example is the Brazilian fan base is just insane, fucking
yeah.
ludicrous, and it's it's just how it is. They show up like Gaules had like was it yeah he's like 200k viewers every time
Mm.
MIBR the old course played in like a group stage game.
I
Like
tell you what, while we are speaking about Brazilian CS, what do you think of the this is old news, but when Gulles when MIBR lost, he accused one of the players of cheating. What was your what's your take on the I'm not saying the whole fan base, of course, 'cause it is a unique few,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
what was your thought on just the sheer toxicity that kind of got funneled towards Leaf?
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it's also bigotry and it's basically a witch hunt for against a 16-year-old kid, It's completely crazy in my opinion. Like you have these again, it's not all MIBR fans, it's not all Brazilians who are like this, but it's like the few
mm,
who ruin it for the many, which is like one of the core
mm,
principles in our society today as well. So it's just the idea of of doing this, like trying to hunt down a 16-year-old kid, give him death threats because he played well in a video game. Like it's absolutely ludicrous.
yeah, without a doubt. What I also think is quite awful is how do you have a fan base get known for that? Like
Yeah,
that's known for death threats. Like for instance, German fan base. We see Sprout gets stomped. Yeah, Big gets stomped. Is what it is. Yeah,
yeah,
they get like all the abuse in the world for just anything. Is what it is. German fan base still toxic. Don't worry, you can still get toxicity in it, but why are they not seen as just as bad as the Brazilian fan base, which It's probably the same percentage that's toxic in both fan bases.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think it is that kind of makes the hatred towards the Brazilian one more than the German one?
Oh, it's definitely the Brazilians are louder, like way louder on social media. And
Mm,
you also have like Fur and other, pro players
mm,
from the Brazilian scene incentivizing this
mm.
kind of behavior, and it's
Yeah.
not it just gives more noise for the Brazilian scene with the pro players and
Mm,
Gaules, like the profiles of the scene actually engages in it and tries to incentivize the fan base to do it as well.
mm. Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And what did you think there should be restrictions then put on Gallus for incentivizing a fan base like that, or do you think it should be more kind of
It,
leaned in?
that's like the funny thing, because if you look at Gaules, he brings in all of the Brazilian fan base, which is
Yeah,
often his stream is supersedes the the
the
mainstream.
mainstream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the mainstream. Yeah, and then you look at like ESL. Okay, well, if you ban Gaules because he did something like this, then you're gonna lose like over half of your viewers on your event,
Mm,
which would lead to lower money from the sponsors,
mm,
which would hurt them on the financial like calendar and everything. So that's that's where like Gaules, he's in a unique position where he can get away with stuff like this, and it's
mm,
just basic capitalism for you. Like they want to earn more money, but they don't really care about the people. The same with the Neon people, and the
mm,
Blast and LEC who took those deals. It's the same principle basically in this case as well with Gaules, and it's just how the society is structured around like companies that not giving a fuck about people and just thinking about the money, and they don't care about the
mm.
repercussions of it.
What can, from the defense of the companies, because I've been able, from my kind of job as a caster, I've been able to speak to a fair few TOs. What you find a lot of the time actually is sponsors, they commit a amount to the prize pool. For instance, we'll give 15k to the prize pool, but if you don't hit X amount of viewers, we just won't pay the prize pool.
Okay.
And so they have to advertise the prize pool because that's what it is. So they get all these teams in, but if they don't hit that viewership, then the TO just doesn't pay the prize pool,
Yeah.
and then you have the whole repercussions of that, which is always going to be worse than hey, you invited girls, why would you do that sort of thing?
Yeah. 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 Yeah, and again, this is like the same principle goes to the sponsors because they invest
Mm,
their money into something and hoping for a return. So if they
yeah.
do not get that money and do not hit the return on it, like
Mm,
it's just a wasted investment, and you pay for eyeballs on your games, and
mm,
that makes the biggest prolific local streamers for the different fan bases like key authorities in like
mm,
places where they shouldn't be. Like Gala shouldn't have this
mm,
authority. It should be like the ESL, and
mm,
ESL having like the main majority of the Brazilian fan base on maybe their own Brazilian thingy
mm,
stream. So it's just a clusterfuck of just everything culminating in what is basically
mm,
earn more money and
mm,
neglect humans basically. Like
mm. Do you think that if they got Gals out of the equation, if they just banned him, you think kind of streams like Aurora's League or like Joker BR or Atomic ETC, all of which Brazilian streams, Brazilian casters, do you think they'll kind of fill that void, or do you think the entire fan base will just go with Galas?
oh no, they are gonna like the way that would work is they would try and find a guy to replace Gallus, but it would be over a long period of time because Gallus is their main guy. It's like gamers and streamers having Twitch as their main platform. You go
Mm,
there because that's what you like, that's what you
yeah.
watch, and your preferred tone and the preferred language used, what you find find entertaining. So if you don't use like if you ban him from him, then he's just gonna cast other games. Maybe he's gonna cast
Mm,
qualifiers, and then he's still gonna have a bunch of people, and
yeah.
those people are not gonna watch the big games then. And then
Mm,
there is this void where it's a question of time and where people can go in and then watch it. And
mm,
the question is then if the tournament organizers and the sponsors are willing to wait that time to get those
mm,
players or those streamers up to those numbers.
On the topic of numbers,
Yeah,
everyone, Chinese viewership's massive, right? Or just Asian viewership in
allegedly.
general is massive, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, allegedly. Um, so I recently did a tournament, the Asia League Cup,
Hmm.
which was like Vici, Invictus, fairly well-known teams played in it.
Yeah.
Um, in while doing that, I had a set. I my biggest game before then, 12,000 viewers with 9 to 5, respectable. Yeah,
Yeah.
12K is not bad.
That's really good.
I did the Asian League, 89,000, like that, in one of the group stage games. Now, this was an opening game.
Yeah.
This wasn't a, it wasn't a, it was just a midday group stage game at 89,000 viewers. Now,
Okay.
what with that much viewership, what I wonder is why don't companies sell their broadcasting rights to Chinese audiences? Because if you're willing to sell it to Brazilian audiences, in Ghana, despite the controversy, why not Chinese? And if so, what would cause you to not want to? Because it's not time zones, clearly, because we see announcements where they put the time zone, of each tournament on a globe, for
Yeah.
instance. So why not Chinese?
Well, the thing about China is really, really like it's like a really subtle and pretty nuanced thing. So the thing is like you have the Chinese censorship, So
Mm,
every single thing that's gonna be in China is through their own products. So
mm,
to be able to get your product into the medium of China and be used by
mm,
the Chinese products and people and the Chinese services, you need to like get a foot into China first. And to get a foot into China, you have to like follow what they do and
mm,
try to bargain. Maybe not bargain is not the right
mm,
word, but maybe compromise on your own principles and then to appease the Chinese to then get a foot in, and then when you have your foot in, you can get all the Chinese money. Like the famous example of the Hearthstone player, uh, I don't remember his name, but he's a Vietnamese,
oh,
the Hong Kong
yeah, yeah,
player,
yeah,
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 he showed up for a tournament, did a passive protest after winning his Hearthstone tournament because of the violations in Hong Kong from the Chinese government, and Blizzard fined him, the player, and because they want that Chinese money, so they didn't think about the
mm,
humans. They just thought about the money they could get and by
mm,
being in the Chinese market. And
no,
it's
absolutely.
yeah, and it's like the same principle for Blizzard as for ESL and as for everyone else. Like
Mm,
they they have like their own principles up to a point
mm,
until the number gets big enough.
mm. What I wonder then is why can't you so don't advertise to China, but why not do these streaming sites that are well known in Asia? So they use a site called Bilibili.
Yeah,
Um, why not just sell rights to a streamer on Bilibili? You then get that whole untapped revenue because I don't see CS tournaments doing it. Like we look at the match page on pretty much every tournament that isn't already based in Asia,
yeah,
and they don't have a link to Bilibili. I think that if you can get a way to universalize and/or have a company that's whole specialization is to get European and American tournaments into Asia in
yeah.
terms of broadcasting, I reckon there's a lot of money to be made
There
there.
is a lot. The biggest problem with that though is the in China you would need a VPN to access Twitch, to access HLTV.
Not not not
And
with Bilibili.
oh,
If it's on
yeah.
Bilibili front page, there you go. It's straight there.
All
You don't
right.
need to worry about
All
VPN.
right.
Like
What about the sponsors then? Okay, so you have SteelSeries, you have I don't know, like Razer, yeah, HyperX.
they sell in China.
Well,
Like
they sell in
they're
China.
probably produced in China. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all of these companies, like companies that sell peripherals, they won't be blacklisted by Chinese markets. The only time I can think of a company being blacklisted by a Chinese market is when you have government funded tournaments. For instance, there was a LAN earlier, a couple of months ago in Stara Zagora in Bulgaria.
Yeah,
That whole prize was funded by the Stara Zagora Council. But at that point, if it's funded by a council, they're going to want to keep it in house. They want to keep it in country.
yeah,
So I can't think of a time when there would be a sponsor that would be kind of protested by China. That makes sense.
yeah.
Like even in this Asia Cup, yeah, Bilibili, Chinese owns streaming service. They had players from Taiwan. They had players from Hong Kong. They had teams from Hong Kong. Even all of them were still recognized as players from X countries. We weren't told we can't say the country they're from. Like I think from the sounds of it, Someone Spirit gets encapsulated by the broad kind of circle of esports,
Yeah,
and since it's only one player, they don't actually care as much as it's made out to be.
but don't you think that the sponsors, what about the famous stories about like Apple not having, companies of Apple in China, like it's a few
Mm,
years back, then you would call them like Pear or something, and then there
mm,
would be these giant companies who's basically just a ripoff of the Western original one.
mm,
That would be the same case with like HyperX and Razer. I don't know if they're in China now. I guess they are, but you know, that should that should be something to consider as well when you talk
mm,
about the sponsors and also
mm,
if a sponsor has like some kind of sentimental value,
mm,
you wouldn't like it's a really the ethical question to talk about like sponsorship and China
mm,
and as well as the Saudi Arabia and Neom. I think you can like I think you honestly can take those two and compare them like one to one almost
mm.
with talking about human rights violations.
That's true, but there's a difference between direct sponsorship and just selling broadcasting rights. I think if there was a stream in Arabic that was hosted on Saudi Arabian platform, no one would have cared.
Yeah,
But the fact it was because that sponsor was directly paying for that tournament, that's why there was an outcry. I think if there was again, think to Billy, you've got like I said, 89,000. That is almost an entire group stage ESL game
yeah.
without added together. Like that's so many people, and for like I don't know how they evaluate kind of viewership numbers, but surely 89K for 2 hours of undivided attention, like that has to have a value to it.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely, most definitely. But the thing is, China is also very known for inflating the viewership. I don't know if
Mm,
Bilibili
that's true.
specifically are, but generally, like I remember back when Uzi, a famous LoL player, professional player for
Mm,
like Royal Club and Royal Never Give Up, and like a few years back he streamed on I don't remember the site, but there was like instances where he would have like 5 million concurrent viewers, and then afterwards
mm,
it was exposed that it was like most of it was bots, but he
mm,
was like having like 150 200k, but
mm,
eight like 5 million, that's a big difference, and that's also
mm,
maybe I don't know is it a message to send to the West to show how like big esports is over there to inflate it? I don't know, but
mm,
there's like there's something scummy over
mm,
there, and if it was me, I would not touch China with anything like
mm.
not
This is
unless.
it's interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Also, but the thing is, if if the companies are like ethical and think what
Mm,
about their products and think about the message they're sending to their viewers,
mm,
is it worth it to go to China, or is it because you really need the money? Because if you really need the money to survive, then they compromise on those principles as I talked about earlier.
mm, mm.
You know.
I see. Well, yeah, it's interesting food for thought.
Yeah, very.
So what? Let's move past China. You got any
Yeah.
other topics you want to cover here,
Yeah,
other
yeah,
than
yeah. Let's talk about the band coaches getting new roles in other organizations.
go from one controversial topic to another?
Oh, I
So,
love it, love it.
right, do you want to start with Zona or Machine Gun?
You know what? I
I think
think
those are the two so far, isn't it? So
yeah, I think you could start. Which one do you want?
okay, I'll take Machine Gun. Half Legion coach, 36-month ban. That is a lot of time. Yeah, 3-year ban. He's just tanking it. He's taking it on the chin.
Yeah.
Um, his move from there, of course, was to be. He wasn't actually kicked from Half Legion. He was benched, and now he's been kind of reinstitutionalized, or say quote unquote reinstitutionalized, and kind of moved on to play in the Half Legion Academy as an analyst. So he's using everything he would do as a coach, put into another role that still pays in the same industry under the same team with a different title.
It's just a
And I
different
think,
label doing the same work.
yeah, yeah, I think a lot of people call bollocks on it simply because He's not serving any punishment at all, is he? Like, the teams are still going to be into minors, majors, everything in between. Like,
Yeah, and
what's was it kind of nullifies that whole ESIC kind of. It isn't as bad as Team Excellency. He went and like publicly insulted them, but it's definitely that level of just laughing at them.
it's just fucking laughing in their faces, saying, "Hey, yeah, you're
Mm,
banned. Yeah, screw that. I can still get a
mm,
job in this space," you know.
mm,
And and then you see like other people like Ragin who just takes it on the chin and just says, "I'm out for these 20 months, and then I hope I can come back and the community will forgive me." There's
mm.
these two completely
It's the difference in
different.
professionalism,
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah,
yeah. Also shows character.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Well,
it,
that's Zona. You want to move on to
yeah.
Machino Gun, who's
Shout out
pretty much
to
the same
Zona.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Machine gun, yeah, man. Oh, Jesus Christ. That was for Forest, right?
Yeah.
That's the
It was either
machine.
Machino Gun for Harlegion and Zona for Fours, or Zona for Fours Machine Gunner
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah, yeah,
Machino
yeah.
Gun for Harley. Same thing, CIS teams that, have been caught misbehaving, you could say.
Yeah, 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 exactly. And honestly, I want to like draw this into a more local problem and a local example. So you see a famous Danish coach previously coached Singularity and
Mm-hmm.
called coached a mixed team called Makinas Kessler Kessler, and he got a coaching ban for 10 months,
Mm-hmm.
and he is just, I think it's 2 or 3 days ago, he got announced to be the new analyst for Masonic, a Danish top 10 team.
Right.
And what are your initial thoughts on that news?
Yeah. It just negates any point of the ban, doesn't it? If they do the exact same thing. I think, yes, I see, credit where the credit's due. First time it's happened, how do you put out a ban for something you don't know? You don't know what the loopholes are going to be at the time. I think there was such an outcry with the bug um, that they had to just figure out something and fast and then hand out punishments rather than thinking of how the punishments will be exploited.
Yeah,
And I think that the coaches that have been able to find new roles in esports, I think they know that they're not going to get punished or re-punished. And I think ESIC know that they can't re-establish bans because it ruins their integrity as well. But I think they're the only ones that are going to be able to get away with it. I think if there's ever a next wave of bans or something similar, it's going to encapsulate all esports.
but what is ESIC gonna do then? Are they gonna try
It would
and
be ban.
punishing the teams?
It would be ban from. No, it would be X player can't have a role in X organization or with X team or X CS team, for instance, for however many months, and it will mean that he can still be in the org as like a manager, but he can't have any involvement with the team.
But how
And I
can
think
you?
that
Oh yeah, sorry.
means they can still work in the industry, but they just can't get involved with the team.
But manager and analyst, like, how can
In my
you
opinion,
how can you
my
prove that the manager won't, yeah, that he won't do the same just with a different label? Again.
managers aren't allowed behind the scenes at tournaments. Analysts and coaches are, but I think it's just that extra level of security,
But
in my opinion, at least.
what about in the era of the COVID-19 and
Oh,
the online gaming?
up in the air, no one can fix it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think so long as we're in COVID, any rule restricting players just can't be enforced unless it's like a straight ban on player. Like you just can't enforce it.
Or you to give fines to teams who hire them, basically.
What
You know,
if that person owns part of the org though? Like how the MIBR players own MIBR, or the
oh,
Strauss players own Astralis.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Yeah, then it becomes a very touchy subject
yeah,
and
exactly.
very very hard to explain and even discuss,
Mm,
very nuanced
mm,
on what to do with it. But yeah, so it's quite interesting because Kessler's had a really good reputation in Denmark, as for being a good coach and a good player as well back when he played, and he's good at like developing talent, watching scouting talent as well, and getting them up to the next level. And right now, he's then potentially, yeah, well, he is working with the guy named Black in Denmark, BLAQ, and he's a
Hmm.
very well-known Danish player, previously for AGF on full time, and right now he's playing with like four younger players who he's developing into becoming talents, and he's brought them up to this 11th place team. So, do you think like this, now knowing this and this context, what do you think of Kessler being around this team?
I still think he shouldn't have a coaching role because it's like if you don't allow if you allow one person to go through a ban, everyone will. I think with him being a manager and him consulting on what players to pick up and what
Oh,
young talent
oh yeah,
what talent should come through, that's fine. But him being an analyst and a coach, that means constant involvement with the team, constant, essentially doing what his job was as a coach before. And that, again, it just, while he's doing a great thing, and while I bet you he is a bloody good coach, the point is he's still going against an ESIC ban, and, well, like, it's loopholing it, essentially.
yeah,
And if he does it, then the guys who are kind of a bit worse, like Zona or Machino Gun, who have gone, nah, sod it, we did it. Oh well, you know, he'll give them a chance to find a loophole in their bans, which is much worse than him.
yeah. But what about the message it's sending to these younger players? It's 17, 18-year-old players, and then Black. You have these 17, 18-year-old guys who just see that some guys just got banned for abusing a bug, essentially cheating in the game,
Mm.
and he's being banned for 10 months, and then he's suddenly just after 2 months going into your team and helping you develop. Like, what is
Mm.
their, what's their mentality? How are they gonna like respect punishment in the future if they can see just
Mm.
him getting away with it?
I suspect that if they play under him and he like if I had a ban and I go to a team, I would drive it home that they do not follow in my footsteps. Like, yeah, I've got a little brother. I know that if I get myself banned, I would like tell him I'd kill him if he were to then go get banned the same way. Like, it's that sort of at least from my opinion, at least, if you're a coach that has done something wrong, and I think he's admitted he's done wrong, like he's admitted it was a problem, and he he's taking the punishment for that on the chin. Been stepped down. He's going back to bring up new talent. I guarantee you, every time his team brings it up, he will tell them, "Don't you fucking dare do what I've done,
Yeah.
and don't you dare try and like exploit bugs." And I think that's the difference between him per se and Machine Gunner and Zona.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate. What if,
Okay.
what if, what if again? If he does not do this, if
Mm.
he just
Yeah.
he doesn't, maybe he doesn't enhance it, but maybe just his presence is enough to
Mm.
infect these younger players.
Same premise to what I said earlier. He shouldn't be there anyway. Like he's loopholed in the SIC ban, and like for the scenario, he's not the worst. That doesn't mean he's doing good though. Like the fact, point of the matter is, anyone who goes over a ban like that or loopholes a ban like that, it tells the others who have also been banned that they can do it as well. And the fact that 3 out of I think it's 37 have done it in literally the fallout of less than a couple of months, I guarantee every single one will find a way to work in esports or a way to continue work in esports. And unfortunately, it's just a matter of ESAC are going to have to let it slide until the next ban wave comes out for something else when they can finalize how to prevent loopholes.
But the thing is, Heroic did the same thing with Hunden. Hunden getting banned for
Yeah.
coaching. Oh, the day after, well, now he's an analyst. But yeah, it's just a
Mm.
fussy, weird situation.
Yeah. No,
So,
without a doubt.
do you have more on this topic, or should we move on?
Let's move. Let's move on. Let's move on.
All right. So, Blast Premier is upon us, and
Oh,
the first games have been played today, and I think we should do some predictions.
do some predictions. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, as
Right.
for tomorrow, we have Mousebots versus Godsense and NIP versus Cloud9.
We
And
also got Phase
Face.
MIBR.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Face MIBR as well, yeah.
Yeah. After that, of course, we have on Thursday Liquid versus Mad Lions and Endpoint versus Heroic. Going on to Friday, we've got Virtus Pro versus Furia And then on Saturday, we've got Complexity versus the winner of NIP Cloud9. Now, what I think is interesting is a lot of these games are going to be pretty close. We're going to give you some predictions. Um, I guess we'll keep a little tally in the bottom for us, Puffin.
Yeah, yeah, let's
So,
do it. Let's do it. Okay, so what I
yes.
think we should do is let's like start off with us picking who wins the event, and then we pick a dark horse, and then afterwards we take the individual matches, and then come with the reasonings for why we pick them.
Okay. Let's
All
win
right.
the event. Okay.
So
Give
who's
me a sec.
winning the event for you? Or should I
I'm gonna
start?
go. I'm gonna go with Heroic. I think Heroic can take the event. Um,
That was actually gonna be my pick as well, but nope, I'm gonna pick something else. I think it's going to be, it's single elim. Yes, it is. It's single elim. All right, then it's gonna be either Mouse Sports or Heroic, the winner of that, or it's gonna be Virtus Pro. Yes, I think Virtus Pro can make it all the way. Yekandar is a fucking beast online. Like honestly.
well,
Yeah,
you've named a bunch of teams.
yeah.
My second team, if not Heroic, then I'm gonna say Furia.
All right, but yeah, my money's on Virtus Pro for this event actually.
Okay, okay. Tell you what though, we do have some matches ahead now. I think we should have a little contest between the two of us in predictions in upcoming games. At the end of the event, whoever's guessed correctly the score the most, whoever's got the most games right, they can tweet whatever they want for the other person's account. Just one tweet it can be whatever you want it to be. All right.
That's
So
all right. Should we give the bet a name?
give it a better name.
Yeah,
A tweet for the twat.
a tweet for the twat. Yeah, let's do that.
I'm so
We're
proud of how
gonna
spontaneous that was.
we're gonna get that trending.
Yeah, we can.
Hashtag a
So
tweet for the twat.
yeah. Okay.
Great.
So first match coming up it is going to be Mouse Sports versus Godsense. Um, Personally, I don't think that's going to be much of a kind of congestion. I think Mouse Sport are going to take that with relative ease. Um, it is a best of three, so yeah, experience will come into it. But I think that this Godsent lineup is still not quite proven themselves yet. I think Mouse Sport's just going to take it convincingly.
But also they just got a roster change.
It
Kicking,
literally just got a roster
yeah,
change, so
kicking Crystal. So yeah, yeah, I agree
yeah,
on Mouse winning
yeah.
over Gosland.
Okay, right. Are you writing these down now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
writing it down.
Okay. Next up match is going to be Nip versus Cloud9.
Yes, that's a
Now,
spicy one.
that is a spicy
Are you
one.
gonna go with your UK mates or
Of course, I'm gonna go with my UK mate. So
really?
Cloud9 are gonna take that. Yeah,
Why is that? Why do you think Cloud9 would win?
I think that they've got enough funding behind them. They've got enough of an option. They've got enough funding behind them, and they've got some fairly dedicated coaches and analysts, and they've had a fair few days/weeks to recover from their opening few games where, let's be honest, they got destroyed.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Flashpoint,
yeah,
that was not a good showing for them.
yeah. Like,
Yeah,
I think their last like 4 results have all been 0-2s.
yeah.
But I think that coming forward, now they have this full lineup. I think they can actually have some fairly decent results because don't get me wrong, Nip they haven't had some very good results either. You know, they lost to Big, they lost to Heroic. They won against G2, but we're just gonna brush it under the carpet. Like, I think
Forget about
I
that.
think yeah, yeah. I reckon Dark Horse Cloud9. I reckon they can take it.
All right, all right, all right. Well, my monies are on Nip if you didn't guess it, because I feel like they are such an online team, and if they
Mm,
just hit their form, like if they hit their shots,
yeah,
they're gonna like
mm,
destroy everyone. Like you see Hampus regularly dropping
mm,
30 for that team
yeah,
as the in-game leader.
yeah.
So yeah,
Right.
definitely.
Next up game we have FaZe versus MIBR. You want to give us a prediction on that one?
Yeah, yeah, I'll do it. MIBR has been looking really solid actually for the Flashpoint tournament, and FaZe has also been looking really good after Nico left them,
Mm-hmm.
surprisingly as well.
Yeah.
I like definitely. My money is gonna be on Brokey and the boys. I think they're gonna
Yeah.
smash them actually 2-0. I don't think MIBR like have the experience to get up
Mm,
and play with FaZe. I think FaZe has the experience. They have better firepower, and the clutch factor of all of my is gonna shine through, and they're gonna just
yeah.
stomp them.
No, I'm completely in the same boat. I think Face take that. I don't think MIBR have a very good chance in that at all. Moving on to Thursday, we've got
Yes.
Liquid versus Mad Lions. Now, this is going to be a good game. Who are you rooting for here?
Oh, I have to root for my Danish brothers, even though they just announced Tensky, and
Yeah,
I oh no, that's existence. My bad. Yeah, Mad
Hooksie.
Lions. Yeah, Hooksy and Refresh. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Refresh has been looking good. I hope Hooksy
Hmm.
can use Shoes as Hunted used him, because then that's
Hmm.
where they hit number 2 in the world, and Acre is of course the beast. So
Hmm.
I have no doubt in my mind Mad Lions gonna win, and Liquid has to be tilted after losing to Triumph in like 2 days ago. So
I am going to go for Liquid. I reckon they're going to bounce back, and I reckon they could take it, in my opinion. Um,
all right.
I just think they'll be able to take it. I think they'll be alright. Now, we've got Heroic versus Endpoint. Now,
how patriotic are you gonna be?
so I cast Endpoint these last couple of days. I've cast most of their MDL playoffs run. Yeah, I saw them against Secret, and I saw them against who was it they played after Secret? Um,
Oh,
it was
the Saw, yeah.
Yeah, Saw. I cast both those games. I watched the Nexus game. I know I shouldn't say Endpoint should win. Every rational part of me is going, Kremer, the fuck are you doing? Endpoint are gonna take it. Endpoint are gonna win.
You are going against your prediction for winning the team
Yes.
winning the event.
Well,
Just
here's the thing.
just
I said it would
yeah,
be Heroic or Furia.
yeah, that's true.
I think that I want Endpoint from the depths of my heart. I want Endpoint to win this. Um, we can be realistic. It probably won't,
Yeah,
but
it won't.
I want them to. I want them to.
That's
I want them
such
to.
a. It's also just such a biased prediction, man. Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, you're picking Heroic. I'm the set surprise prediction as well. So, so
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Like, yeah, heroic, definitely. Yeah, I think they're gonna
yeah,
go far. Like, yeah. So, yeah, Fury Virtus Pro.
Furia has no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, and this is where I have to go with my initial prediction and take Virtus Pro, because they have been looking excellent recently. Actually, Yekindar is a fucking beast, and Jame has been looking solid again.
No,
Finding back the avant-garde form. It's good to see.
no, all right. Well, again, nothing wrong with being wrong.
No, no,
Okay.
no, no. And
Right
then,
now, we got the complexity versus Nip Cloud9 winner. How are you feeling about this one?
well, I honestly believe Complexity is gonna win no matter who's gonna go through there.
Yeah, I think complexity take that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
Well, there we have it.
what I think we should do for the next one is just keep the scores on Twitter and keep everyone posted and updated on
Okay.
it while it plays out. And
Yep,
then us,
works for me.
of course hashtag a tweet for a twat.
Yep. Tweet for a twat. Yep. There we have it. Wonderful little game and a series of predictions to run through.
All right, so
Yeah.
we have just about 12 minutes left. Is there anything on your mind that you want to talk about, Kremer?
And then I want to talk about lands. We talk about lands in 2020 or
Oh,
lack of lands in 2020. I was in Bulgaria a couple months ago, doing BGE Star Zagora. I spoke to a member of Grid there, and Grid is a analytics company, so they provide in-game data and they want to sell it. So they told me that there have only been 13 lands around the world. This is including League of Legends Worlds, any CS event at all, tier 2, like tier 3 events that have been in someone's basement. 13 is all there's been around the world.
holy.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
That is, we have a pandemic. I mean,
Yeah,
that's that is
pretty
rough.
bad.
That is rough.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking bad, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh my.
Right.
And like, what about the IEM Global Challenge? It's supposed to be a LAN
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. So something I do think is pretty fun though is I'm saying this as a caster. Now, favorite part about casting for me is traveling. Um, I would so I would go without being paid if it meant being able to travel to lands. Like what's quite fun is that I know that when the pandemic ends, there are going to be so many lands. I feel bad for a lot of teams because there are just going to be so many. It's
Yeah.
going to be back to back to back to back to back. I know that there's one that's going to be in Uruguay fairly soon, and you've got teams like heretics that are going to it just so they can have a land to go to,
Holy, in
which
Uruguay,
is yeah,
South
yeah, the
America? Are you kidding
yeah,
me?
yeah, the Fire League, and you've got like you've got yeah, again, heretics going to it, and then just a bunch of other random teams. I just think that I think heretics they just need a land that badly that they're just gonna travel a couple thousand miles to get one.
That's fucking ludicrous, man. Holy. Incredible.
Yeah,
So yeah, you know what? I miss lands a lot,
yeah,
and
that's great.
you know, especially like Copenhagen Games, it's so fun because you like the after parties
Mm,
there always goes nuts, and
yeah,
like it's unequivalent of with any other LAN I've been to in Denmark. You know, it's just everyone's
mm,
talking together, having a good time, and drinking beer. There was
mm,
one back in Royal Arena in 2018
yeah.
where you could get like a canned beer for 33 kroners, which is like £3
But that's
something.
that's nothing. That's nothing.
That's fucking expensive. I can, you know, like a Carlsberg, like 33 centiliters,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you could get like two for 50. And then if you calculated it, it would be like for in British pounds for you, be like
Mm.
here like 110 pounds for a box or like 24 beers.
That is
Fucking
uh,
outrageous.
that is that's daylight fucking robbery.
Yeah, it is.
That's incredible. Whoever sells those makes bank. I tell
Oh,
you what.
yeah, no, that was like the entire Dust2.dk like site just completely like rebelled,
Yeah,
and the Royal Arenas were the one who set the prices and not the host of like the it's called esport.dk. They are the
yeah,
one
yeah.
who's hosting Copenhagen Games, but they weren't the one who set the prices.
Mm.
So
But still,
afterwards,
that's
yeah, it's fucking crazy.
that is actually incredible. In the UK, you aren't allowed to bring booze into the event, so there are all these creative ways to like smuggle your booze into the event. The amount of times I've seen people's water cooling just replaced with vodka or like that, it's random stuff like that. It's just to keep their, just to just to keep their like get their booze in there. It's really impressive.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know what? I remember being at a Copenhagen Games, and I sat right next to Sprout. This was back in
Mhm.
2017. They
Yeah.
had Natosafix and no, not Cyclone. They had Dennis Betty, Natosafix,
Hmm.
and someone else. And they had like this poor guy. It looked like a fucking intern, man. He just showed up, and then he just had this cradle, this fucking trolley with just chairs in it and unpacked chairs. So he had to get over there. He was there like 5, 6 hours before everyone else and just assembled like 5 chairs for the players and set up their PCs and everything. And then they played. And then when they got home, he took off all of the keyboards. You know, like fucking slave work, man. It was
Poor
hilarious.
guy. Poor guy. That's, I guarantee you, as he was undoing those chairs, the strap guys they were out of there
Yeah,
partying.
they were. They were.
Like,
They were out there getting
poor
hammered.
guy, poor guy. Like, still, probably worth it though to go. Hey, I was at a lab with Sprout. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
yeah.
pretty cool. Also, like last year's Copenhagen Games, I was traveling from where I live in northern Jutland to Copenhagen. It's like 4 hours by train,
Hmm.
and then you go and then I since I don't have a car, I had to travel, you know, with the sleeping stuff
Hmm.
and computer and everything, you know. And when I got to Copenhagen, and I had to walk like 2 kilometers with just my bags filled and traveling trunk and you know just completely filled up, and I couldn't carry it at all. And then I met these two Irish guys who came to Copenhagen Games to play Team Fortress 2, and one of them was
Oh
like
right.
this broadcaster and really famous like shoutcaster UK guy, long hair. It's
Oh
freaking
yeah.
insane. So when they met me on my way there, and they helped me carry it all the way down. And then when we got down there, we got a beer and we just like chilled for like a day and a half.
That's
It was
pretty cool.
fucking
I
amazing.
think my best land memory at the moment has been going to well in Bulgaria. So I don't speak a word of the language. When we arrived, we were assigned essentially a tour guide, and we went to our hotel, and it's really cool. Our hotel, it was like a Soviet apartment block that had been renovated into a hotel. It being renovated into the hotel consisted of they just put hotel doors on it. So we had essentially a like apartment sized room. It was awesome. Yeah, we had like kitchens and all that stuff. It was really really cool. But we were told you're gonna meet the rest of the guys. Think awesome. Yeah, they're speaking English to me. That means they all speak English. So we ended up going to the room, and I was the only one who went. My other two English casters, they were still sleeping. So go to meet them. Yeah, door swings open. They come greet me, shake my hand. Massive Bulgarian guys. It's like, all right, okay, and they start speaking Bulgarian. I look like an immigrant to the DMZ. I'm like, so they end up they end up looking at me and they go, Grandma, while you're here, is there anything you want to try in Bulgaria? I think, fuck it, I want to try Bulgarian booze. So,
Yeah, Rakia, right.
yeah. So it's like, oh, we have Bulgarian beer. I bring you part of Bulgarian beer. It's the worst shit I've tasted in my life. It was awful. I want you to imagine, like, Stella without the carbonation.
Oh, Jesus.
It was truly vile.
Oh,
And so, Japanese spirits.
yeah.
And they go, yes, we have spirits. Wow. That a special thing for it. They put about this much into a glass. Think, oh, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
Get the glass, kind of look at it and go, if I go blind, I go blind. Is what it is. So yeah, pick it up down the hatch like that. These guys are concerned. They kind of stare at me and go, "You're meant to have water with that. What are you doing, man?" It's like, of course, at that point I'm committed. So it's straight Ricky for the whole night. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah, surrounded by guys, didn't understand a word they were saying, but like I could tell from it got. And that was every night for like the entire event. It got to the point towards the end of the event where I didn't speak Bulgarian, but I could watch someone say something and probably know what he'd said. And so it was really really fun. I loved it.
Did you try Rakia?
Yeah, that I have a bottle of rakia.
Yeah.
Rakia, yeah, which was I got this at the airport in Bulgaria.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have Bulgarian rakia with me.
It's
Shoot. I could drink to that. Drink to Bulgaria.
Yeah, drink to Bulgaria. Drink for the memory, but dude,
Absolutely, man.
I've honestly, I tried rakia like once before. I got so fucking hammered, man. It was so bad.
Strong.
Like it tastes so bad. Like it was my colleague. He has like a lot of Bulgarian friends, and then
Yeah.
the one of them he's like brewing his own rakia
Wow.
in his basement.
That's strong.
Yeah,
Strong.
yeah, and then you take one and it tastes like piss, but you gotta get drunk. So the more you take, that's
Yeah,
the
the
weird
less
thing.
it tastes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it tasted
Yeah.
better actually. Well, that's
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
tell myself at least.
Yeah.
So I think it was like 10 o'clock and everyone just passed out. We met at like 6. So at 10 o'clock everyone just passed out and went home because we just got so massively drunk by this rakia. I like I on purposely I took one of the other guys' jackets with me home so I couldn't get into my apartment, so I had to sleep outside. And then for the next like a fucking hobo, and then for the next day I had to travel like 10 kilometers to get up to the guy again to get my jacket so I could go in and sleep. And I slept like 4 hours that night while being fucking drunk. Oh,
Oh,
and
I think I'll be back.
are you
I'll be
back?
back.
Oh, you didn't hear my lovely
I
story.
said I got to about 6 o'clock. I tell you what, I said before we started this,
Yeah.
my internet will go at some point. I know it will, and I'm surprised we got this far. So
Well,
hey,
we have we're basically done, yeah. But then you can listen to that amazing story on the VOD. So,
yeah, there you go.
to transition into it, this was the first episode of Dinked. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, 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 if you have anything you would like us to do better, if there's any subjects or topics you think we should do, throw it our way. Remember to follow us on Twitter, or at least, yeah, it's under here on both of us. And yeah, do you have any final words, Kremer?
No, not at all. Again, let us know the structure as well, because before this, we kind of got a bunch of topics together on a notepad and went, fuck it, we'll do those. If you rather us reminisce about land stories while getting hilariously drunk, yeah, we could do that. I'm sure. I think Puffin might actually rather that.
I'll I'll get
On a
I'll get some
Discord call
beers. Yeah.
while we do that. If you would rather we ended up talking about serious stuff, you would rather predictions, let us know. We can do more of it. For now though, thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, thank you for watching.